Hello everyone. My name is Betty Svaina, and today I'm going to show you the lesson about how to assess your students. Let's go to the next slide. Firstly, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk to you today. And the key topic discussed in this presentation are the first is introduction. The second one is what is important, what is student assessment and why is it important. The next topic is assessment is more than grading, and next I'm going to talk about method of student assessment. Let's start with the introduction. And student assessment is a centerpiece of the teaching and learning process, and therefore the subject of much discussion in the scholarship of teaching and learning. And without some method of obtaining and analyzing evidence of student learning, we can never know whether our teaching is making a difference and is it effective or not. What is student assessment and why is it important? So assessment is a systematic collection and analysis of information to improve students' learning. Also, assessment of student learning is vital because it provides useful feedback to both instructors and students about the extent to which students are successfully meeting learning objectives. Also, assessment enables instructors to determine the metrics of measurement for student understanding of and proficiency in course goals. Assessment provides the evidence needed to document and validate the meaningful learning has occurred. Also, not only does effective assessment provide us with valuable information to support student growth, but it also enables critically reflective teaching. As you can see, assessment is very important nowadays, especially in teaching foreign language. And now let's talk about assessment and why is it more why is assessment is more than grading. So assessment links students' performance to specific learning objectives in order to provide useful information to students and instructors about learning and teaching respectively. Also, grading, on the other hand, merely involves affixing a number or letter to an assignment, giving students only the most minimal indication of their performance relative to a set of criteria or to their peers. Also, assessment links students' performance to specific learning objectives in order to provide useful information to students, and grades are only the broadest of indicators of achievement or status, and as such don't provide meaningful information about students' learning of knowledge or skills or how they developed and what may yet improve. Now let's talk about methods of student assessment. And there are so many ways of student assessment. Assessment can vary widely from informal checks on understanding to quizzes, to blogs, to essays, and to elaborate performance tasks such as written or audiovisual projects. Also, we can use essays. Essays are a common form of writing assignment in courses and can be either a summative or formative form of assessment depending on how the instructor utilizes them. For example, short essays are often better for students to assess students' understanding of the concepts or new grammar rules or structures, and also it gives possibility to improve your students' writing skills. Another way of assessing students are exams and time-constrained individual assessment. They can involve multiple forms of questions, be of refined length, and can be used to assess multiple levels of students' learning. Like essays, they can be summative or formative form of assessment. Also, examinations have traditionally been a gold standard of assessment, particularly in post-secondary education. And many educators prefer them because they can be highly effective, can be standardized, and they are easily integrated into disciplines with certification standards, and they are efficient to implement since they can allow for for less labor-intensive feedback and grading. Let's go to the next slide. The next way of assessing students is class presentations. Class presentation in class assesses a different aspect of spoken language. For example, when you ask a student to speak in front of the class, he is able to prepare and practice what he wants to say, and he can also research information on his topic. And in this case, the grade you give your student should be based on both content and presentation. And also, this type of assessment can give you possibility to assess students' speaking skills, writing skills, and their, for example, reading skills too. Let's go to the next slide. Also, the next way of assessing student is fill in the blank. A fill in the blank test may seem similar to a closed exam, but this type of test is used to test a specific grammatical structure or set of vocabulary. Because, for example, grammar and vocabulary are the most important parts of learning foreign language, and it's very important to pay attention to this part of a foreign language. Also, you can write individual sentences or an entire paragraph for your students, but it's probably best to provide a word bank in either case. Also, you may choose to supply more words than will be necessary to fill in the blanks to make the test more challenging. The next slide. Also, the next type of assessing students is very convenient, and in my opinion, it's very interesting for students to do it, and it's very convenient for teachers to check, for example, portfolios. It's about saving time, and to expand the material you base your students' grades on. Why not assign each person to assemble a portfolio? And the portfolio is a collection of work samples that cover several aspects of the assignments your students have completed. This is an especially effective way to assess your students if you have the same class for reading, writing, listening, speaking, and grammar. Also, I have another variant of assessing for students for you, and it's an online quiz. You can require your students to spend time at home or in a language lab period working on exercises and quizzes available online. In addition, they will still get feedback on their work and knowledge. Also, I want to pay attention to the tools where you can create online quizzes for your students. The most engaging tool for creating online quizzes for me is Kahoot. It's very colorful and very convenient to use, and I think that students will be very glad to use this app to make their online quizzes. So also, the next step is about true-false quiz. When you use this type of test, don't give trick questions that focus on minor details. Even more important, have your students correct the questions that they say are false. If they are making the corrections rather than just identifying the mistakes, you will make sure they are answering from what they know rather than making lucky guesses. And also, This type of assessment is very good when you want to check students' reading skills, I think. So, thank you for attention. And if you have any questions, you can write to our Telegram channel, and I will be very glad to answer for your questions. Thank you for attention.
Ура!